before I talk about Succot, I'll tell you there are 4 previous shiurim which should all be on TorahAnytime.com, which I've given on Succot in the past. They are bringing Hashem closer, think inside the box, to him the heart, and last year boxing clever. Okay, I'm going to repeat again what I said last week. I gave an appeal to people to send me any quotes that they have to do with anything that's memorable, a one-liner, two-liner. It could be from a rabbi, it could be from anything you hear from a secular source, but it should have some impact of musar, of that we can use to grow from. Like I said, it doesn't have to come from a Jewish source, but it should be something that we would find useful and we would get chizuk from. And in Bli Neder Bezrat Hashem, when I get enough, I'm going to put out a list and I'll send it to everybody. So if you have any quotes, look on your fridge magnets, look anywhere, send me an email, rabbikelati@gmail.com. Okay. So I'm going to tell you a story that happened to be yesterday. I went with with 2 of my sons to buy a lulav and etrog in. There's a shop that opens. I don't know how they do it. Opens once a year in on the corner of Penshurst and Station Road. It's called Succot, and it has a window open to the public thoroughfare. It has a large window, and of course it's full of sukkahs. But in the front there, by the window, there's the etrogim and there's the lulavim. So I was there with the vendor in one part of the shop, and my son Duvi was standing by the window looking at the etrogim. He was trying to pick one for himself. And I caught this out of the corner of my eye, and as soon as I saw what was happening, I turned to see what was happening, what would transpire. This is what happened. He was looking at the etrogim, and there was a lot of human traffic passing by on the street. And it happened that there was a couple, a middle-aged couple who walked past, and the lady, who happened to be Chinese, she was looking and she stopped suddenly. She saw all the, I can't imagine what was going through her mind, all these lemons there in the front, only lemons, yeah? Like a shop that doesn't sell cucumbers, tomatoes, just lemons, yeah? In the front there, some of them are yellow, some of them are green, but all lemons. And then next to them were these sticks. They're these sticks, green sticks with brown shaving bits off them, long sticks, looked like they were pretty sharp at the end. This really caught her attention. And then she saw my son Duvi looking from the other side. And of course, there's no way she could communicate anything through the window, but she looked at my son, and my son looked at her. My son's only 12 years old, by the way. And she said to him through the window, she said in a probably in a Chinese voice, "What is? What is? Right? And my son's looking at her, and now first of all he's 12. Second of all, he can only have sign language, and third of all, he's going to explain what a lulav and etrog is to a non-Jew walking past. And she sees these things, and some are marked £30, some are marked £50. How on earth? So he looks, and she's getting, and he doesn't know what to say. He's speechless. And I'm looking at him, and I was with my other son. I didn't want to, interfere. I thought, I want to see how this plays out. So I said to my other son, Binam, I said, look at this. Let's see what Duvi does with this. So she's getting more and more frustrated. What this? And he just couldn't find the words to come out of his mouth. In the end, she got so frustrated, she walked off. And then my son turned to me and I said, Duvi, what just happened? He said, I don't know, Dad, I just don't know. What can I have said to her? How can I explain it to her? Okay, so I'm telling you this amusing story for a reason, because can you imagine what would have happened? Let's take this a stage further. Can you imagine if that woman came in and she went up to me, for example, and said to me, what are lemon in the window? Yeah? And I had to explain to her, they're not just lemons, they're sort of seasonal holy artifacts. So what you do here? You cook there? You boil there? No. We can eat them, but we don't buy them for eating. We sort of buy them to shake them. Anyway, if you want to get, what? You shake them? For what you shake them? I say, look, perhaps we can change the subject. Maybe you want to talk. Yeah, what are those long sticks? Okay, look, forget the sticks, forget the lemons. It's just, it's just, you're crazy. You're crazy. What would we say to such a person? Let's say we are crazy. How could we answer them? What possible reason could we give ourselves why we shake the lulav and etrog? Now ask yourself that question. Why do we do it? You could turn around and say, well, it's written in the Torah. Kapot Tamarim, Arvei Nachal, Peretz Hadar. All the sources for the 4 types are given in the Torah. But why do we do it? Because Hashem said, okay, of course that's the only reason. But why? What benefit does it have for us? So, whenever I have a question like this, I always go to my wife. I always say, what's your taich? How do you understand this incident? First of all, she laughed her head off when I told her about my son Duvi. And then when she stopped laughing, she said, that's the difference between us and them. Without wanting to make any, direct comparison and reference. Because to a regular person, you're looking at an overpriced citron. That's what it is. Now, my wife also told me, by the way, if you go to there's a wholesale fruit market. I forgot what it's called. I know Spitalfields is for the fish, and then there's another one for meat, and then there's one for fruit and veg. There's a big, huge wholesale market. And they sell citrons. They look exactly like etrog. And they sell for like £1 each. So, what would a non-Jew who buys his citrons, and he probably makes a beautiful jam, or maybe they make what marmalade or whatever it is for, and he comes and he looks and he sees one at 30 times the price, and we don't even use it for the cooking. Most of us take it, we don't even have a clue what to do with it after Sukkot. Either we put it on the side and wait for it to shrivel and become tiny, and then we put it in, and then we burn it with a chametz, or like the Yemenites and the Adanim do. They have a wonderful minhag. They put the lulav on top of the doorpost, on the mashkof of the doorpost as you're going in. Beautiful minhag. I don't know what the source is, but it can't be bad. Anyway, we don't know what to do with it. No, hardly any of us knows how to make jam with it, so we just chuck it away. We just have it to shake. It's a £30 shaking object. How would you understand that? Well, I tell you what my wife said to me. She said to me, be that as it may, the Jew has the ability to import kedusha and make a mitzvah from something which would be the most obscure thing. Because God told us, take a citron, technically a lulav is called a palm frond. Take myrtle, and not myrtle the person, take a myrtle or a couple of myrtles, and take, I don't know how you translate aravot. Take a willow branch. And from that, you're going to make one of the greatest mitzvahs you could ever imagine. From something ordinary. From something you would use, I don't know, what would you use, what on earth would you use a lulav for if you were not shaking it on Sukkot? What would you use it for? Schach maybe. Right? What would you do if you didn't have it for schach? I don't know, use it for fuel, animal food. You would walk past these palm fronds that have fallen off the palm tree. You wouldn't even think twice about it. Someone told you, you know what? That will give you eternal reward in Shemayim. You would say, what? That piece of grass? That branch? Yes. Because a Jew is programmed to take the ordinary and to make it holy. That's the Jew's job in this world. And Hashem knew that when he wrote it in the Torah and gave it to us. Hashem knew that. That's why there's such a difference. But if you don't know that and you don't understand that, you're just looking at something which costs a lot of money and it's going to go to waste. A couple of shakes and you're done. Finished. What's the point? You're just like, once you buy the whole set, you're easily looking at maybe at least high 2 figures, if not low 3 figures. People pay hundreds of pounds for the whole set. People pay 200 quid just for the etrog. So it just doesn't make sense. But there's a huge difference with us and how we look at that fruit and how an ordinary person looks at that fruit. Because we don't look at that fruit as just a lemon. We look at it as a mitzvah. And let me explain with a story. This is a story of Rav Moshe Feinstein. Zechat Tzaddik Kadosh V'Cha. One time he was praying in shul. It could have been in Shiva, could have been in a Bet Knesset. And he wanted to go out. And it happened that standing in front of the exit, there was a man there who was praying Amidah. He was in the middle of Amidah. And Rav Moshe is walking along. As soon as he sees this man his way, he stops. Now, I think somebody said to him, look, Kvod Harav, you can walk around him and you won't disturb him. You can walk, just go in front of him, go to the left, and then you can sort of squeeze past him and go out. He said, no, I can't do that. He said, why, Rabbi? I've just told you go around him. He said, no, I can't walk within 4 amot of it. I can't. Why? He said, because I don't see a man, I see a brick wall. Because when a person, this is me saying this, when a person prays the Amidah, who is in front of him with a capital W? The Shekhinah is in front of him. 4 amot on every direction is the Shekhinah. So if you walk within that 4 amot, which is like between 6 and 8 feet, depending on what opinion, you are infringing on the Shekhinah. So he didn't see it as a person just praying the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei. He saw it as a wall. I can't walk through walls. For him, the halacha was a reality. For him, an etrog is not a fruit. An etrog is a mitzvah. You can't put a price on a mitzvah. A mitzvah is invaluable. The reward for a mitzvah, you can't even translate it into this world. That's the reason, by the way, that we cannot get reward for a mitzvah in this world. Sometimes we think, you know what, God, I do so many mitzvahs. Just give me one reward for a mitzvah in this world. Just give me one. I've got thousands. I'm praying Amidah 3 times a week, 3 times a day, and on Shabbat 4 times a day. Calculate that times 365. That's loads of Amidahs. So I've got thousands of mitzvahs over the years. Just give me the reward of one. Hashem says, Kiviyachol, I can't. Why? You know what it's like? It's like walking into a sweet shop and not having any cash in your hand, but having a banker's draft. Yeah? You happen to be Bill Gates. And you walk into the sweet shop, you want to buy a packet of cola bottles. Okay? So put the cola bottles on the table, and the shopkeeper says, okay, that'll be £1.25. And you say, fine, can I pay you by banker's draft? Well, I haven't got any cash. No, I've only got a banker's draft. It's fine. You can show it to the bank and they'll cash it for you. Okay, fine. Oh, but I need some change, by the way. It's not for the right amount. Okay, fine, no problem. How much change do you need? How much is the banker's draft for? So Bill Gates shows that you have the banker's draft. It's made for £50 billion. And Bill Gates says, and I need the change as well. So I can't change this for you. How can I give you the money back? I don't have that money. In my wildest dreams, I don't have that money. This is why we don't get the reward for mitzvah in this world. Because the currency doesn't translate. It doesn't work in this world. This world is too mundane to absorb the reward for a mitzvah. The only reward possibly we can get for a mitzvah in this world is the bakshish, is like the sort of the side benefit. You know what that is? It's for somebody who does mitzvot with alacrity, with speed, who does mitzvot straight away, who shows love and enthusiasm for mitzvot. For that you'll get the reward for in this world. Either maybe by getting more mitzvot. I don't know how Hashem gives the reward. But the actual keren, the actual principal reward for the mitzvah? No, that does not work. It doesn't function. Ze lo holech ba'olam hazeh. It doesn't work in this world. So the same thing here, you can't put a price tag on a mitzvah. So we mustn't look at the lulav as, 20 pounds, and the etrog as 80 pounds. Look at it as this mitzvah, and we put all the mitzvahs together, and it's one big mitzvah. So, and only we can do that. Looking from the outside, all we see is a lemon and a stick. And of course, if you're looking at that, of course it doesn't make sense. It's not supposed to make sense if you look at it like that. You must look at it as a mitzvah. And only we as Jewish people are endowed to take the mundane and elevate it into the spiritual. Now, the Sukkot is called Zman Simchatenu. Pesach, on the other hand, is called Zman Cherutenu. Shavuot is called Zman Matan Toratenu. Only this festival is called the time of our simcha, the time of our joy. So what does that mean? Pesach isn't joyous? Shavuot is not joyous? Rosh Hashanah is not joyous? I think they're very joyous. I'm very happy on Pesach. Purim, I'm happy as a bird. So why, of all the Chagim, is Sukkot called Zaman Simchatenu? More than any other festival. And the answer lies with the fact that we read on Sukkot, at least Ashkenazim read, we read a Megillah on Sukkot. Which Megillah do we read? Megillat Kohelet. How does Kohelet begin? It was written by King Solomon, whose name was Kohelet, by the way. Divrei Kohelet ben David. These are the words of Kohelet ben David. Kohelet was of course Shlomo Melech, as we said. How does he start? What's the second verse? First of all, he gives the authorship. Son of David, king in Jerusalem. The first line, or rather the second pasuk, but the first line of content is Hevel Havalim. Futility of futilities. Amar Kohelet, said Kohelet. Hevel Havalim Hakol Hevel. Everything is futile, and it's futility. So in other words, the first thing he says is, it's all rubbish. Fancy starting a novel like Fancy if you were an author and you wrote a secular book, to start a book with rubbish. That wouldn't get you very far. In fact, maybe these days people might be attracted to that type of book. They think, this sounds interesting. A novel about rubbish. But we're not talking about a book. We're talking about a holy Megillah written by the wisest of all men. He starts the book saying, everything is rubbish. Everything is futile. Do you know what he's referring to? He's talking about the vanity of this world. He's talking about the worldly pleasures. He's talking about people who place import on iPhones. People who place import on going to the casino and going to the cinema and all these other things. Fast cars, big houses. iPhone 6, I just mentioned the iPhone. Sorry, I'm being repetitive. The Samsung Galaxy S4, S5 or S610. That's what is important to me. Nothing else matters now. I have to get that. I need that. I need it. Hakol Hevel Havalim, says Shlomo Melech. That's not the point of life. If you think that's what counts, you're making a big mistake, my friend, says Shlomo Melech. That's not the point of life. That is a heichi timtza. That is a means to get by. It's not the point of life. Sukkot teaches us a similar lesson. What do we do on Sukkot? All the worldly things that we have, the nice house, the beautiful settee from World of Leather, the TV, for Chas v'Shalom, we've got one, the computer, leave it all behind, go outside and rough it in a box. Go live in a box for 7 days. See what good that does for you. You'll be freezing, You'll be gasping for the telephone. Nowadays we've all got mobiles anyway, but you've got to go in and I need my bed. I can't sleep on this mattress with a sleeping bag. It's freezing. I've got central heating at home. I've got underfloor heating. I'm with this, 20 quid thing from IKEA that's hardly warming my toes. I want to go back in. That's the first lesson we learn after Yom Kippur. That if you say that you want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, I want it, you don't need it. One who says he wants, he doesn't need it. It's not for him. If you really need it, then that's something else. But wanting, I want this, I want the latest iPad, I want it so much, then you have no need for it. Because that shows that thing, object is ruling you, you're not ruling the object. Imagine being slave to a mobile phone. Every time it rings, oh, I've got to get it, text message, I've got to get a text message. Okay, you're not going to die if you don't get a text message. I've got to get emails, every 5 I check my emails. That's what's ruling you? Hevel havalim, says Shlomo HaMelech. It's vanity of vanities, it's futility of futilities. That's not what rules you. You rule it. You decide. Not the machine decides for you. Not this world with all its temporary, everything's on a temporary basis. That doesn't rule you. You rule it. You are man. You're created for a higher purpose. So what do we have to do? We're forced for 7 days to be happy with our lot. To be happy without the phone. And without the material conveniences. And you know what? It's not actually that bad. If you rough it once in a while, people who go camping like I did, it's not that bad to be, under the stars in nature, without the conveniences. It's not bad, That's how our forefathers used to live. I'm not saying you leave your house and whatever, because, that would not necessarily be sensible. But to show that you can't get by without it, no, that can't be what Hashem wants from us. So we've got to show whatever we have, whatever Hashem gives us, we have to live with it. We have to be happy with it. We can't be wanting for more all the time. We can't be desirous of things which don't come our way. Which is on the shir that I talked about, the luchot, the broken luchot next to the whole luchot. If Hashem makes us a broken Jew, we have to serve Hashem. If Hashem makes us a whole, complete Jew, we have to serve Hashem. The bottom line is, broken or whole, we have to serve Hashem. It wasn't my choice to be broken. It wasn't my choice to, let's say, for argument's sake, to come from a non-frum family. It wasn't my choice to be born in an area where there's hardly any Jews and I've got no chance of, furthering my Yiddishkeit. That's not my choice. I didn't come out of the womb saying, you know what, I want to live in Flatbush. I want to live in Golders Green, Stanford Hill. I had no choice in the matter. I was born there. You were born there. Make the most of what Hashem gave you. That's another reason why the broken luchot are stored with the whole luchot. That's another reason why we're forced to live 7 days outside where we have what we have and that's it. To show, you know what, whatever you gave me, I'm happy with that. On a similar line, there was a beautiful vort I heard once from Rabbi Zev Leff. He said, it says in Pirkei Avot, Pat b'melach tochal. What's the way of a Jew? He has to eat bread with salt, he has to drink only water, and he has to sleep on the floor. Rabbi Leff says, I don't know anybody who lives like that, who eats bread and water. Maybe some poor people have bread and water, Rahman al-Islam. I don't know anybody who sleeps on the bed, on the floor rather. Do you know any even the Gedolei Ador, they don't sleep on the floor and eat bread and water? So what does it mean? Rabbi Leff gives the most phenomenal, game-changing answer. He says, it's not that you have to do that. But if that is your lot in life, if that's what Hashem gave you, then that's what you've been given to serve Hashem, and you better get with the program.
That's what you've been given. That's what you've got to serve Hashem with. Hashem gave you a beautiful house, beautiful car, beautiful, do hachnasat orchim. Use your car to ferry people about to do mitzvot. But serve Hashem. Hashem made you a poor person. Smile at people. If you have only so much food, so you know what, you want to be a real tzaddik? Give half your food to somebody else if you can manage that. You know what a reward you're going to get? You have a little and you give some of that little to somebody else. Do you know what a reward? Do you think it's the same reward if somebody has a big plate of food and he gives the same amount to somebody else? You think one is going to get the same reward as the other one? No way. The one who's got the little and he gives part of that little to somebody else, he's going to get way, way, way more reward for that. That's a korban he's giving. He's sacrificing of himself. So whatever lot Hashem gives to us, however Hashem casts our lot, that's what we have to serve Hashem with. That's the reason of the Sukkah. That's the first reason. That's the first thing that we learn when we go out. Whatever God gives you, use it to serve Him. Use it to serve Him and don't want for other stuff. And don't be reliant on material things and don't say that unless I have this, I cannot function. That's not the way of Pirkei Avot and that's not the way of Sukkot. Okay, one more thought. I'm going to end off with a beautiful story. So, I heard the following idea from Rav Ephraim Shapiro, who's a big, big influence on me. He's a phenomenal speaker and has some very out-of-the-box ideas. And he says like this. He quotes the Rav of Nitra, the Nitra Rav. He says, we have 4 species. Lulav, Etrog, Hadassim, Aravot. Yeah? What do we do with the Lulav? Lulav, we bind everything. We bind 2 species to the Lulav and then we have the Etrog and we put it all together. So we care about the Lulav and we care about the Etrog and the Hadassim, but the Aravot, they don't really have such significance. They wither away, and then if we remember, we have to replace them. And then even, when we go, we do the, the Hoshanot, because we have to buy extra Aravot at the end of the Chag, and we have to walk around the bimah with it. So, but we always forget about them. The Aravot, which is the willow branch, is very much like a second-class citizen. We don't really care about it. Yeah, it's always like, I forgot I have to buy new Aravot. Why is that? Says the Nitra Rav. You know why that is? So look at the Lulav, and look at the Etrog, and look at the Hadassim. The Hadassim come from faraway places. You get it from Israel, and you get it from Turkey, or maybe in all far-flung places. The Etrog, where's the Etrog come from? Calabria, or whatever it's called, which is in Italy. You get it from Morocco. You get it from Yemen. You get it from Israel. Far-flung places. And the Lulav also comes from these far-flung places. Where does the Aravot come from? You know where they come from? The park, the back garden, anywhere. They're on your doorstep. But you know what? Once Sukkot is coming to an end, what do? You leave the Lulav, you leave the Etrog, you leave the Aravot, and what are you left with? You leave the Hadassim, what are you left with? The Aravot. That's the only thing that you're going to walk around the bimah with. That's the thing that you end the whole the Chag with. That's your swan song. And what is that? The thing that you regard the least. Says the Nitra Rav, that is a common human fallacy. The thing that stays with us the most, we disregard. The people who matter the most to us, they're always out the picture. Who is in the picture? People who mean nothing to you. Pop stars and football stars and people who are the worst lowlifes in the world, and we're following them with our tongue hanging out. Like this. Meanwhile, our grandma, who we haven't spoken to for 7 years, she's sitting, wilting away, and nobody's talking to her. And then after 120 years, Shalom Neida, when she passes away, suddenly we're crying at the funeral, oh, my grandma, my grandma. Now, I don't wish this on anyone. And it's a very harsh thing I'm going to say, but Rabbi Wallerstein said this, so I'm repeating it in his name. He says, everyone's crying at the funerals. Why aren't we crying before the funeral? Why are we crying, oh, I miss them so much and everything? Why didn't you spend time with them when they were alive? You're crying about your grandma or your great aunt. You never spent more than 10 minutes with them. So do it now before it's too late. Don't spend time with things that don't matter, that shouldn't register on your radar. You're wasting so much time with them. I'm not even going to talk about the YouTube and the Facebook and all the nonsense. Well, I'll mention it anyway. But yeah, so much Hevel Havalim. Going back to King Solomon again. Spend time with the Arava. Spend time with what's important to you, with what matters to you. And don't waste time with other things. You see, the Arava is going to outlive everything. Now I'm going to tell you that story. Now, there was, in Israel, there was a head of the Chevra Kedisha, his name was Rav Shammai. Rav Shammai was a tzaddik. Not only was he the head of the Chevra Kedisha, he used to go through the war zones in the Sinai Peninsula, and he used to visit all the soldiers there, and he used to bring a lulav electrog, and he would give it to the soldiers to shake. Now, I don't know how many he had, maybe he had only one, so presumably he would give it to them as a matana al malat lahachzir, as a present which needs to be returned, because you have to own the lulav and the etrog before you shake it. And then they would give it back to him, and it would, basically all the soldiers would queue up, or in America you would say line up, to go and shake this lulav and etrog from this tzaddik Rav Shammai. So it happened that once there was a non-frum soldier who was driving an ammunition tank. This was in the war, by the way. He was in one of the wars. And he stopped his ammunition truck in front of him. He saw this long line of people. What are they going? And he probably didn't think, oh, what are they? They're shaking a 30-pound lemon. Whatever he thought. He got out of the truck and he wanted to see what the commotion was. So he went up to the person at the front of the line. He saw the shaky lulav etrog. He said, so the soldier said, come, shake with me. And the non-frum soldier said, no, I don't want to do it now. So the other soldier said, no, you must do it. It's the last day today. So he said, okay, whatever. So he joined the queue and he went and he shook the lulav and etrog. Meanwhile, there was Arab crossfire. And the Arabs, Yamach Shemam, fired a rocket. And the rocket hit his ammunition truck. I'll repeat again, ammunition truck. You could imagine the fireworks that went off in that, Baruch Hashem, empty from human beings, ammunition truck. The blast was so big that not only was there nothing left of the truck, apart from ashes, there was a massive crater in the ground. Can you imagine that? Minutes earlier, that Jew was in the truck. So this Jew was so unbelievably shaken by this. He thought, what? I came to do mitzvah. I was going to go back. And my friend told me stay. He was so shaken, he took action. You know, his wife was pregnant and he had a daughter. And you know what he named her? He named her Lulava, after the mitzvah of the lulav. Now, it's funny, we laugh at it, but you know what? That is commitment. That shows this is not something random. He named his daughter after this miracle that happened. He didn't want to forget this. He didn't want his descendants to forget this. Can you imagine now? Why is great-grandmother called Lulava? And they'll tell the story over. You know what a tremendous act that is, to name a child after a miracle? That fellow should be praised for this. Yiratzon, all of us should realize the power and the import of a lulav and an etrog. We look at it as just a stick and a lemon. It's not like that. It's a mitzvah, and you cannot put a price on the mitzvah. Yiratzon, all of us should have a wonderful chag with our families. And this year, Bezrat Hashem, we will spend it in Yerushalayim with Mashiach Tzidkenu, El Eliyahu Navi, V'chein Yosam Amen. Tizkuru Shemavot Tovot V'Limot.